Hello, good morning, dear classmates and Miss Anna Karen. So today we're gonna expose about the critical social linguistics topic, which is a very important area to explore in society, like society and language and how it works and how we develop certain levels or groups of um, speaking. So we're gonna start with what is this specifically. So let's start with the next. So we're gonna see the definition, of course. Then we're gonna learn about characteristics and some of the background, why we use it, like the purposes, and we're also gonna give some examples in society behavior.
Okay, so I would like to start by with this question. What is critical social linguistics about? Well, basically, it is a field of study that uses a range of social linguistics approaches, both macro and micro social linguistics, in combination with social theoretical analysis to examine the role of language in power relationships. So, in other words, I would say that critical social linguistics is interesting in how language can show who has the power in a society and how language can be inferred to certain group of people um, based on aspects like their gender, race, or even social class. So this field tries to understand these inequalities to make language use more fair and just for everyone. So one of the concerns of critical social linguistics is to reveal the way language creates, sustain, and replicates fundamental inequalities in societies. So we can say that inequalities are in everywhere, like in education, economy, communication, and of course, politics. And so linguists use critical social linguistics like a tool um, to go beyond describe analysis of language use. And instead, they investigate or they examine language as a social practice that is immersed in power relationships. And finally, I would like just to little explain these two terms that I mentioned in the definition, which is macro and micro social linguistics. Well, basically, macro is a study of what people do with their language. For example, bilingualism, education, law. So these type of areas. And then we have micro, which is basically it investigates how people use uh, the way people use the language according to certain aspects like their social class, their gender, and age, for example. Okay, so then we have characteristics. And well, we have three specific characteristics which critical social linguistics is interested in how they work. And the first one is ideology. It says that is a system of ideas and ideals, especially one which forms the basis of economic or political theory and policy. So basically, ideology refers to dominant beliefs and attitudes about language within a society. So it can really influence the use of language in a society. And um, and also in language policies, for example. And then we have hegemony, which is leadership of dominance, especially by one country or social group over others. Okay, so it's in other words, basically it's the dominance of certain linguistic norms. um, and certain practices, ideologies. For example, a dominant language or a dialect can be treated as prestigious, leading to the marginalization of other language variety within a speech community, for example. And finally, we have resistance. And it is the naturalizing ideology and viewing discourse in terms of registers, which vary according to the context instead of holding true in all spaces and time. So, um, so this is basically the opposition to dominant language ideologies, hegemony, and other practices, and discriminatory language policies. Um, so just to make, basically to make the language use more fair and just for everyone. Okay. And then we have some information about the background of these
Okay.
critical social linguistics.
So, okay, so critical social linguistics, also known as SCS, has its roots in Fish's approach of critical social theory. Um, Michael Fish's was a French linguist who was concerned, who was well known for his work of critical discourse analysis, and because he was concerned that our world, our societies are being surrounded by all of these ideologies that societies have imposed over us. So he was concerned how the way speakers used these ideologies in order to manipulate or mislead people, or be manipulated or misled by people. uh yeah, so the major source of Pisch's approach of social theory was Alter's Marxist theories of ideology. So his approach was also inspired by another approach of the Marxism. So well, yeah, we can say that critical social linguistics was inspired by all this work from critical what was the name, critical discourse analysis by Michael Fish's. So can you next slide, please? So that leads me to say that critical social linguistics was born in comparison with traditional social linguistics to try to understand how people can be manipulated or can manipulate or be manipulated using language through these ideologies, using language. And also it tries to see speakers at the doors. So traditional social linguistics sees us as simple categories. You know how we can say that, for example, myself, I am a student, I am a man, I am a Chiapaneco. I can be a geographic location. I can be a gender, an age, etc. Right? All of these categories, and critical social linguistics sees us more than that. Sees us as the doers of actions, and the ones who have to be aware of what we are doing. So it tries to recognize also how deformities in our societies uh, have changes, affect us, and we in the way we speak, and the way we adapt our speaking when we are talking. So yeah, and the last one, Abril, that's your point.
So in order to clarify how the critical social linguistics work, or how can be analyzed or appreciated in a daily basis, it's really simple, because this is about power trait, and it can be um, you can observe it with people, or like a group of people who have high um, it's like high standard. So, for example, we have this is an example about a medical consultation. So, basically, in this conversation that a person is going to have, it's going to be between a doctor and a patient. And the doctor knows about medicine, but the patient doesn't. So that means that the doctor has the power to order the patient what to do and like what to, for example, take a medication or like a prescription, or advise them. And the patient is summoned to do that, because that person knows more than the patient, right? So this is like a pretty common one. But also we study that there are some, well, our common sense states that a doctor is gonna do his job, right? And it's something good. But the power can be used for bad reasons or like bad purposes, as we can see in other power trade conversations, where power is always leading the conversation, always leading the language of the person who is speaking. So another example we can see, it's like the people in high job positions are known to use like a more standardized variety, right? So they're always speaking in this very formal way, and sometimes they use technicisms or they use other jargon that some others wouldn't understand. But speaking always involves pragmatics. So it's not only about the jargon and what they say, but also about what they're implying when they are speaking, and how, like, their pitch of voice, the tone, all of those things can show us like the rank that a person is in the society. So they are used to be recognized in those positions because of how they speak and how they sound when they're among others. And that's just like some examples so we can give us an idea. And that was the last topic as well. So thank you so much. Here are references if you're interested into getting to know more about this topic. And thank you so much for your attention.